one client very early on, and he texted me after a session, probably 2 days after a session, and said, well, I've been walking on that same street for the past 5 years. And after our session, I started noticing things that were always there, but I was unable to see them. And I used that example as a demonstration of the things that we are, who we are always there. We are just unable to see them.
Welcome to the Daily Soul Bytes Show. I am your host, Bola Abimbola, frequency alchemist, life coach, and energy practitioner. Daily Soul Bytes is where we bring guest authors, coaches, and entrepreneurs in the fields of spirituality, psychology, and leadership, sharing their insights for the expansion of collective consciousness. And today I have a very special guest, Alice Nova, all the way from the United States. Welcome to the show, Alice.
Thank you for having me. It's a real joy and honor to be speaking with you. So thank you for having me. Really delighted to see where the conversation leads us and what we can share with people and all of that.
Yes, I am. I'm looking forward to this as well. Let me read your bio before we kick off. Alice Nova is an energy designer and creator of the Kiko design method, a healing practice blending quantum energy, frequency activation, and behavioral science. She helps individuals release old patterns, rewrite limiting beliefs, and align with their authentic path. She also channels healing frequencies and guidance from the Divine Master Sophia and interdimensional councils to support humanity on a journey to a deeper alignment. That is absolutely wonderful. But tell us, Alice, what led you to this place? Because I know we all have stepping stones, and we were just talking before we came online how nothing is a coincidence, and we are all expanding from somewhere to another place. I'd love to hear your journey, a bit of your journey and your story up till now.
My life used to be quite different. I used to be a product designer, and I used to help companies design new products. And I was also working in marketing. So that was my previous life, which was exciting to a point. I always thought that part of my mission or a goal in life was to become a mother. And after different tries and not necessarily being able to not conceive a child, but to bring it to the world alive, let's put it this way, I realized that if that is all for me in this life, then I didn't see any meaning, any purpose to it. So after my fourth miscarriage, I went into quite a dark place where I started questioning who I was, why am I here, but also my mindset that was always curious. I was always curious about things. So I started really asking the deeper questions, like, why am I here? And really starting looking for an answer that was not a surface level. Because for me, it stopped being about having material possessions. I had all of that. But inside, there was emptiness. And so I started going on a journey of self-discovery at the age of 40, which was an interesting, because at that time, by society, you are expected to have your life together and know who you are. But to me, old identity completely crumbled down.
Are you looking for AAA grade jewelry or gemstones? Utter Spirit are those we will recommend. They actually do really wonderful jewelry. They have gifted me really nice lapis lazuli, which is really good for connecting with universal wisdom. And also this shungite beads, which come from Russia, and they're really rare because a lot of the times you get shungite beads which affect your skin, and these beads have been really nice. My son also loves them, and Utter Spirit, they give back to nature as well. So that is really nice that they are contributing to the environment, and they also send this intention cards. They're quite nice. This shungite card says, I cleanse myself from harmful energies. And the lapis lazuli card says, I am connected to the infinite wisdom of the universe. So there's information that goes with it, as well as them, producing really good quality jewelry. So I will recommend to connect with Utter Spirit. And the code will be going with this video. So check them out.
And as I started really doing deep inner work and looking into the limitations that I posed on myself, I started discovering this ability of seeing energy, of being able to move my energy with my hands. And at first it was a little bit unsettling because I was entering a new realm that for many people would be labeled as crazy, as something that is not real because you cannot see it, you cannot touch it, or many people cannot. And so I knew that I wanted to understand it because my hands would spontaneously start moving. And I knew that I was doing something, and it was so natural that I knew that it was not the first time that my hands are doing this dance almost. But also I needed to understand what was going on. And so I started working with a teacher over the years and starting understanding it, starting learning the mechanics of energy work and how energy works and all of that. And as I was working on myself and learning, I started really awakening my clairvoyance and my psychic skills, and all of that started coming through light language. And then I discovered that my guide is Sophia, so I started working very closely with her, and that's now what we are stepping into, is where I am channeling Sophia's information, Sophia's wisdom, as she's here to guide us on as we are stepping into a new paradigm, new reality. And we are not only stepping into it, we are creating it. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alice. I love it when you said that you became aware of the limiting patterns that you'd put on yourself. For myself, it took me a long time to realize that the limiting patterns in my life, the things I could not do, the things that I could not achieve, were not really patterns from anywhere else but myself. Because we've all come to explore certain themes in this lifetime. And it takes us a while for us to accept all that is exactly how it needs to be. Because I also had that period where I couldn't have kids for many years, over 10 years. And it does something to you. And I think being aware of the fact that we are really powerful, empowered beings, and whatever it is that we do not have or we're not achieving, it takes us a while to come to that place. So it's always good to share our experiences in this way. For those who may be going through that. But I loved what you said about being aware of those limiting patterns. And now you have this key code. Could you tell us more about your work, about what the code means and how you help others with it?
I created the key code design method because I was very much aware of the need of grounding the work that we do in the energy sessions. And how you ground it is through aligned action and shifting your behaviors a bit, right? It's not about taking those huge leaps, and because they are usually not successful, but rather taking small steps. And so my background in product design was very useful, because when you design new products, you also need to work with consumer behaviors. And if the product is new, then you need to take into consideration, right, what needs to take place for the consumer to adopt it. And so that understanding of behavioral science then helped me create the method that where it's not just about energy sessions, but it's also about the guidance, how the people that I work with then take small actions and what those actions are. To ground the healing into their body, ground the healing into their reality, right? Because we are locked in different patterns that we cannot see until they become limitation. And the limitation can show up in different forms, right? In our experience, it can be that you want something and you cannot get it. That you are struggling with achieving something, whatever that is, it shows up differently. And then we start seeing the pattern that it's created from limiting beliefs, from our self-judgment, a lot of those energies that are heavy and are somehow stored within our body. So my work really is to first help the person understand what the pattern is created of and how it was created, why it was created. Because there is always a reason why we created it. And sometimes because we yet do not have understanding of our multidimensionality, and we don't have understanding of our past lives or off-planet lives, and we are part of it. It's not that we are here isolated of it. So they are somehow attached, and they might have some sort of charge on it or karmic imprint that it's for us in this body, when we don't have access yet to those information, it's hard for us to access it. And so that's where I come in and help to read the energy, read how the pattern was created, because it's not about judging the pattern. It's about bringing compassion to ourselves and understanding that we are much more vast and expansive than we know, and that we are not just Alice in this body. And so that is one part of the work. And then I usually get guidance from the person's guides, from whatever is coming from their higher selves, what might be the best aligned action that they can take, right? To start grounding the change, because we are creatures of habit. And if we don't start taking aligned actions and making small changes, we usually are going to revert back to what was very familiar and what we've known our entire life.
Thank you for that. I totally resonate with that. And I love the word grounding, because you're so right. Until we really come to own the changes that we receive when we have energy healing, there is no change in the experience, because that awareness of the thoughts, the emotions, and the actions that we're taking is really going to allow us to know whether we are aligning to something that is a high frequency or a low frequency. Because that's part of my work. I love working with alignment, because it's one thing for us to know that something is not right in the external reality. It's another thing for us to understand which habit or what am I thinking or what emotion or what actions am I repeating that is creating this reality. And then we can decide, okay, do I want to continue it? Because sometimes we do want to stay in that low frequency. It may be in anger, it may be in clearing some degree of trauma, because that trauma is there for a reason. There was something that we were learning. So being aware of the limits, being aware of that low frequency is one thing. And then allowing ourselves to choose whether we want to stay in it, whether we want to release it and hold a higher frequency is another thing. And there's no right or wrong, I always say. It's about knowing exactly what we feel called to do in that present time. So I love the way you support your clients to really understand the habits, to receive the healing, and then to ground the changes that will happen, because our energy field changes. As a quantum Reiki soul psych awakening practitioner, I know that when I work with my clients, the energy field changes, and then we have to begin to receive the different thoughts, the different emotions, the different actions that we're called to do, and to have the confidence, to take it step by step. So I love the fact that as practitioners, we hold that space, and we also allow our clients to really gain the confidence in taking the steps that allows that energy field to really become grounded within the body. This is the mind, body, spirit alignment. So thank you so
I
much.
would just add one more thing that I think that it's very important, and a lot of people who come or who start on this journey don't have. It's compassion. It's self-compassion, because we sometimes want to make changes like yesterday. It's the understanding that you are building a new pattern, new way for you, new path. And sometimes there will be energies that will be presented to you as the thoughts that you thought that are gone. Right? And it's not about punishment. It's not about self-judgment, because that's how we are also programmed to behave, is that if we face something that we thought that it was done, that we go into self-judgment. Oh, I must have done something wrong, or there must be something wrong with me, or why did that happen? And it's all about witnessing that and saying, well, you are like, I am letting you go, and really tuning into self-compassion, that I see that it's so lacking in today's world. And it's so important, because it's the judgment energy that actually makes it stick and makes it lock in our reality. So if we can bring more self-compassion to our everyday life and whatever we are doing, whether we are on healing journey or not, that would be very helpful for us as a humanity, as a society, I believe.
To actually pause and give that compassion to the part of us that is feeling of low worth, that is feeling shame or anger or some kind of trauma, that has been triggered. Because I know that there is always a part of us that we have already healed, some things we've already mastered, and then we come into a timeline and we feel what I mastered what I feel that I've healed yesterday, there is another part of me. There is suddenly a part of me that feels that I haven't done nothing about it. And I do believe in the timelines, that we're all jumping into different timelines all the time. So it's really important to be aware of when something has come up. And I mean, I find myself, even with all my years of doing a lot of work on myself, inner inquiry, it's a journey. And it's so important to, at that moment when we feel that sense of change, that trigger, to pause and give ourselves compassion to develop a deeper understanding of what it is that part of us is feeling. Because there's so many parts. And thinking of ourselves in parts like this, I feel is really key. It really helps us to open up to less judgment, more worth, more understanding. And I know in your work, you also talk about clarity, creativity, and empowerment. How do these things work? Or how do you weave these factors into your work?
So all those things, whether it's clarity, whether it's creativity, or whether it's tapping into your own power, are kind of born as we are letting go those different layers, those different limiting beliefs. They are not coming from the external, they are born from within. As we are tapping into who we truly are, as we are getting to know ourselves. Because what I believe is that we are on a journey to getting to know our authentic selves and who we truly are, and being being in a place of acceptance of all the parts that is us. So as I work with people, that it started happening very early on when I started practicing, when people would come to me and say, well, it's interesting, I am now having completely different view on things. It's this expanded clarity, it's this expanded discernment of who I am and what is the situation. It's more about seeing that whatever is going on in my external world is a projection of my internal universe. And so they start aligning with that point of view, and it kind of helps them see themselves, see the world, see the reality in different light, in different I would say different light. And how it started with I had a one client very early on, and he texted me after a session, probably 2 days after a session, and said, well, I've been walking on that same street for the past 5 years. And after our session, I started noticing things that were always there, but I was unable to see them. And I use that example as a demonstration of the things that we are, who we are always there. We are just unable to see them. And as we raise our frequency, then we are able to see things that were not available to us before. We start having that different understanding. And with creativity and empowerment, it's when we clear energy, then all of a sudden, there is a new energy, there is a new life force, new creative energy that is available to you. And because it's not stuck in this, it's not held, and you are not using your own energy to hold that stuckness, hold that block in place. So all of a sudden, you have new energy to spend on creating and being in power of your creative force, of your creative energy. Because what we don't realize is that we are the ultimate creators. There is no one that is creating things for us. We are the creators, but we don't see it often that way. And even for me till today, it's sometimes I need to pause. And if there is something that triggers me, I need to pause and say, well, I created it. So why did I create it? And instead of going into resistance, turn into curiosity. Because curiosity is the energy that opens the door. And maybe you won't have the answers right away, or all the answers, or all that information, but it will start opening up the door for the information to come, for the learning. Okay, what I needed, what I wanted and needed to learn by creating this circumstance, this situation. And that reframe puts you in the driver's seat of your life, as opposed to feeling like a passenger who is just being dragged in different directions by different circumstances, different people, whatever it is.
I always say that it takes a lot of guts and courage to come to this planet and live this life of duality that really allows us to understand why we have such power, and why we can also appear quite powerless. It's such a polarity that I can understand why people come here, actually, why souls come here, because it is such a dynamic, interesting matrix where one moment you're feeling powerless, and the next moment, based on the modalities that we use, we can come to a place of much deeper power, or we can stay in that place of powerlessness. And we forget that we are actually multidimensional beings. That remembrance that you said, Alice, is about how we are multidimensional beings. And I know that you channel Sophia. I'd love to hear a bit more about Sophia and the channeling work that you do. I'm also a channel. I channel the Ardorians as well as Metatron. And this is something that has allowed me to understand organization, to also understand my own true self, as well as all the mentors and the teachers that we all have. But I'd love to focus on your work with Sophia and how, Sophia has helped you to understand your own self, and how you also use that connection in your work. But first, we want to know more about Sophia.
So Sophia is the guiding presence of feminine intelligence, of feminine wisdom. And that's how I know her, that there are many aspects of Sophia, and this is the one that I work with. And she has been my personal guide, which when I first learned that, I didn't really know who Sophia was. So that helped me to really start the relationship with her, because that it is a relationship with the guides that we all have. We do have certain relationships, and it's only about how attuned we are to that relationship and how we are able to hear the guidance that is that they are sharing with us. And so I knew that she was my guide, and we started to building the relationship of really rediscovering that we've known each other, that it's not a new relationship. And so at one point at that development of our journey together, she made the request if I would channel her. And at that time, I was not a channeler. So I said, yes, but I need to develop myself. I need to know how to do it safely, how to be a clear channel, how to bring her wisdom, her guidance, that it's not only for myself but for humanity, in a way that people understand and that it's clear out of my own programming. So it took me over a year when I was really working on myself and channeling her in private with a teacher. Recently, I knew that I was ready. And so I started sharing messages recording messages that she shares with me and posting them on YouTube. But I also was asked to work with much broader collective of divine feminine goddesses and energies, like the Divine Mother, Mary Magdalene, Lakshmi, to start bringing new codes that are or awakening rather than awakening new codes within people that will help them to step into more expanded self, will help them to understand much better themselves. So we started doing it first as I called it the codes of light. And I've done probably 6 different transmissions with smaller groups. And then the next iteration came, and now we are doing, it's not, I wouldn't call it a program, but more like cohesive teams. And it's usually 3 to 5 different transmissions, channel transmissions, where I channel them. It's a group container where I bring them in. Whoever comes in, there usually is more than one, but Sophia is the main. She is the narrator. She is the guide of that experience, and part of that experience is also the multi-dimensional council from the Pleiades, because I started working with them in my private healing practice, where the movement of my hands, it's actually a technology that I brought from the Pleiades, and they were helping to attune my body to it back to, so it can fully function in a way that it's supposed to. And so now the codes of light is a container where Sophia, the divine feminine, and the Pleiades come all together to do deep healing, but also help bring new frequencies, new energies that are more aligned with the next iteration of the person, because it's a group container, but they are working with each person individually. And it's such a joy to be the channel for that kind of transformation and an expansion that is happening.
I totally understand the need for us to really cultivate that divine feminine. I'd love to share with us, because there is, I think, the wounded masculine, I think, gets a really bad rap. And we also have the wounded feminine and the divine masculine, the divine feminine. Would you give us a little bit of a breakdown as to what these different energies are and what the activation of the divine feminine does? What is the message that Sophia and your guides give for the cultivation of the divine feminine, and also a bit of a breakdown as to those different energies, the wounded feminine, the wounded masculine, as well as the divine masculine, which I believe that has a place still.
Absolutely, they both have its place. And when we talk about divine feminine, we see the women or people who are in women bodies. And when we talk about the masculine, we see the man. And we need to understand that we have those both energies inside of us, no matter what gender we are in. And as up till now, we've been programmed to lead from the masculine, whether we are female or male. If I reflect back on my life, previously I was leading from the masculine because I needed to fit in into the world that was led by the masculine. And there was not much space for the feminine inside. And so what I believe that we are doing, and what Sophia and the other goddesses are sharing with me, that we are bringing ourselves into coherence, into balance. And the easiest part to actually for us to put it into real life example is that the masculine part of us is our analytical mind. And the feminine part is our intuition. And we need both. But they need to be in balance in this very harmonic dance to know when it's time to pause and tap into our intuition, and when it's time to take action and tap into the masculine analytical mind to guide us. What is the action that we need to take in this physical world to actually bring the intuitive knowingness or guidance into life? And so that is what we are doing. And by us and many more people now embarking on healing journeys, or the journeys of expansion, as I like to call them, is that they are doing just that. And so I like to bring it down from, pointing fingers that, this is the, wounded masculine and this is the wounded feminine. It's more about we all have parts of us that are wounded, and they are feminine and masculine. And we are just bringing them into coherence and really learning how to be in both at the same time, or how to hold both and know when it's time for the different parts to take charge, so to speak, without competition, without putting the other down. Because many people intuition, it's a word that they kind of know what that might mean, but they have no access to it. It's completely blocked because it's the masculine that is so dominating in their energy system right now. And so I believe that what we all do, whether we are energy practitioner or whether we do other modalities that work with energy, we are helping people to come into this harmonic coherence between feminine and masculine, where there is no competition, but it's more about this balanced dance of when it's time for which one to lead the dance.
Lead the dance. It's such a dance, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's not like, it's not this like this or that. It's both. Yes. But it needs to be in this based on what is actually unfolding in your life. That needs to be weaved in accordingly, and we need to know which part of us needs to take the lead.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes that dance is like a nice blues dance, and then sometimes it's like some kind of metal dance, really, really sharp, and So I love that word dance, and really the parts of us that are wounded masculine or wounded feminine. We may experience that part, say, in the morning at 9 o'clock, and then at 2 o'clock, we know we are experiencing that, that part of us that is divine, and I think being able to dance and to know that this is about awareness, knowing what frequencies, what perspectives are coming forth or are being triggered or are being made dominant in this present time. That awareness is so key, as opposed to just being on autopilot, where we're allowing ourselves to get swallowed up, in the chaos that exists. The chaos exists no matter what. And it's about how we are able to stay present and allow ourselves to understand which particular perspective, which particular energies am I holding. That's what my book, Daily Soul Bytes, is about. It's about really understanding the different perspectives that we have within us. And then knowing that at any present moment, we can be aware and we can align. And in that alignment comes a particular thread of thought, a particular thread of emotion, and we're guided towards different actions. So I believe life is really about alignment, awareness and alignment. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because many of the Sophia's guidance is what needs to happen is that we need to get present. We are either living in the past or we are living in the future. But it's about getting present with what is at this very moment of time, because from here everything is created. And what she's been sharing with me, that until now, the formula for us was to create from the past, because we, or very few of us, were, and I wasn't part of it, was really present with in their life, with what is. So a lot of the creations that we are manifesting are creating from the energetic foundation of the past. And so now the information that she started to share with me is how we can start creating the new earth, the new paradigm, however we call it. And there is no magic formula. It's about being present with what is, being a witness to what energies are standing in a way, so to speak, or limiting beliefs, what blocks, that what patterns, what blocks might still be present in your reality, because that's the only way how we can recognize them. We need to start being masters of our own energy. And it's not that everybody will see energy, but everybody can work with energy. Because energy is present in our life as our thoughts, as our behaviors, as our actions. It's all energy. We cannot see them, but they are present. We cannot see our thoughts, right? But it's energies that are circulating in our space, in our sphere of existence, and are either driving it, or we can pause, see them, witness them, and choose to let them go.
That choice is not always something that is easy. I mean, I will say that there is, there are so many things going on in our day to day. We may have found it easy to choose high frequency yesterday, and then today in that present moment, it's that past is sometimes not easy to release, and we can come to a place where logically we know that, yes, I need to release this, but there's a grip. There's a grip that physical ego self has on our psyche. And we're finding it difficult. That part of us is finding it difficult to let go of that physical ego grip. In your work, Alice, how would you advise somebody who is in their day-to-day who they've done a lot of work and they have experienced a lot of wonderful, things in their day to day. But at this time, on their timeline, with the current self they're working with, the current path they're working with, they're really finding it really challenging to release the grief and to stay present. What are the kind of tips you would share as to how they can become even more grounded within the truth of who they truly are, which is that neutral being?
I would suggest going to the nature, whether it's a park, and just trying to calm your mind, because sometimes it's the energies that are ready to be released are getting louder and louder. And so then we feel like that they have seniority over us, that they are more powerful, that we don't have a choice but to be that way. And what is important is really to ground our body. And by grounding our body, I mean really connecting it with nature, whether you can actually walk barefoot or just spend some time with a tree and hug the tree or just touch the tree or put your feet in the water, whatever it is, or just go for a walk, because that is also what helps is when the body is in movement. It's the body is part of us, and we need to work with the body, not only the mental mind. So it takes some commitment to yourself, because sometimes the energy that are keeping us stuck and that are having grip on us, or we are gripping to them, carry the programming that there are more important things that you need to do. And I am not talking about big practice. It's more, can you put aside 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day and make the commitment to yourself to really go for the walk or spend time in nature, whatever it's convenient. It doesn't have to be those big leaps of that you are going to reshuffle your entire schedule and then nothing would work. And in a few days, you are going to be like, yeah, I am not really going to do it because it just doesn't work for me. It needs to work for you. And I also believe that as you start honoring that commitment to yourself, you are starting to tap into your own self-respect. You are starting to tap into it is about respect, because sometimes we don't respect ourselves, and that leads us to give our seniority to others. So that would be the short answer, really, because everybody can do it. And I know from my own experience, when I've made the commitment to myself that I was going to go for a walk every day, no matter what the weather was, that was helping to ground my body, but it not only ground my body, but also start grounding my mind and start releasing all that chaos that was going on inside of my mind. And it was just this movement of moving my body, but also what I believe that was important was the commitment that I've made to myself, and I stuck with it. And I do it till today.
That daily practice, it's so key, because there's always the chaos, there's always ups and downs, and there's no one who comes to a place in their lives where there are no more ups and downs. Yeah. It's really about the practices that we have and how we come to really persist, to have the resilience, to cultivate the resilience, That's why I run C Corp. It's a 8-week program that helps the cultivation of resilience, which is that deeper strength, a deeper thread that we can come to connect with and own within our own self, that allows us to practice these daily modalities, even on those days when we are burnt out, on those days when we feel a little bit low. We can come to see the compassion within us, that thread of compassion. We can connect to it in that instant. And there's different tools that that work with different people. And what worked with someone. I know that what worked with me maybe 10 years ago or even 3 days ago, maybe something that is different from what will work with me in this instant. So having a toolbox, a range of modalities, being in that community of those who you resonate with to take you to that next level, to take you into that higher frequency is so key. But it's really up to us or down to us to cultivate those practices, because the chaos is persistent. That that flow, the rigor of life. Life comes with so many different flavors, and being able to understand the flavors that we want and how to continue to enjoy the flavors that we like, even as we dig into those parts that do not particularly are preferred. They're not particularly preferred to us. We can come to have the resilience that allows us to hold those frequencies of love, of compassion, of forgiveness, of generosity within us. So it's really, for me, about resilience and compassion. And Alice, do you have any final words for us today before we go?
I would use your words that you just used, because I believe that it's so important. It's self-compassion. And if you can find a practice that helps you, it can be a journaling, it can be walk in nature, it can be whatever, it can be meditation, it can be just sitting in silence. When you show yourself self-compassion, and when you are also able to witness the self-judgment that might want to sneak in, and just say, not this time. It's so important, because it's when we can cultivate that self-compassion towards us, then we can project it and hold that frequency for others. And I believe that today's world needs more of that. When we hold compassion for ourselves, and that allows us to hold much deeper compassion for others, because we cannot create what we don't have inside. And we've accumulated enough judgment and self-competition and anger that we feel that we are holding it towards the external, but in reality, we are holding it towards ourselves. So I would echo your words. It's find a practice, find a day, create a space in your day when you can really give yourself the small piece of compassion, and it will grow. And you will start seeing how you start treating yourself differently, slowly, step by step. And I feel that that can make a real tangible difference in our world, in our lives.
Thank you so much, Alice. And where can people find you when they want to connect with you?
They can find me, they can connect with me on through my website. I am also on Instagram. I am also on YouTube under the key code design, or key code and or my name, Alice Nova. So that's where I can be found. And I thank you so much for inviting me, for having this conversation. really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Alice. I enjoyed it as well. I loved your beautiful energy. I resonate with it all. And thank you for the work that you do. Really brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And I do want to thank our audience for supporting us, for joining us. Now, this is something that is very precious to us at Daily Soul Bites, and we're now in season 5. So that is really wonderful. Thank you for your support, for sharing, for liking, for commenting. That is something that is really well appreciated. And I do look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Daily Soul Bites Show. Bye-bye.